Hi there, in this video I'd like to talk about how to create objects and to begin looking at the whole concept of object-oriented in Java. I have a new package called com.objects. I'm going to create a new class and I'm going to call this class Smart Sustainable Student. And I am going to choose constructor from superclass, not main method. What I will see is a new part that we're introducing to Java that looks like a method inside the class, but it has the same name as the class. But it has the parentheses like a method. This is what's known as the zero argument. There's no arguments coming into the method. The zero argument constructor. This gets called whenever I create a new object from this class called Smart Sustainable Student. Let's add a couple of properties to this particular class. We'll add a private string called name, and we'll add a private int called age for now. Okay? So I have two private variables. One is a string, one is an age. And then I'm going to allow or create two methods. And my first method is going to be public I'm no longer going to use the word static like I did with static methods, but I'm going to have a public void update student name, and you're going to pass me a string called student name. What I'm going to do in this method is I'm going to make name equal student name. So I'm going to move the value that you send me to the name field, which will update that particular name. And then we'll have another method, public. This time I'm going to return a string, and it's going to be called retrieve student name. You don't need to pass me anything. And what I'm going to do is return the name. So there's my class, Smart Sustainable Student. It has a constructor called the Zero Argument Constructor. I'm going to create another new class in my package. This one here is a simple class that's just going to have a main method. It won't use constructors from the superclass. And this is going to be called a Smart Sustainable Test. In this main method, the way that we create objects is we use a new keyword, N-E-W. When I call the new keyword, I'm actually calling this constructor, and I'm creating an object of this type. So I'm going to store that object into a type called Smart Student of type Smart Sustainable Student, and I'm going to say it equals a new Smart Sustainable Student. What I'm doing here is I'm calling the constructor, this right here, in this class. Now it doesn't do anything, well at least it doesn't look like it does anything, but what it does is it creates an object for me in memory, allowing space for me to do things with it. Once I create that object, I can refer to it as what we call the reference variable. So I can now refer to that Smart Student and now use a dot notation, and here's where I'm going to call the instance method, update student name, and I'm going to pass the name Tom. The next thing I want to do is I want to retrieve that student name from that object. So I'm going to now call Smart Student again, and I'm going to call the retrieve student name method. What that will do is retrieve back for me the student name, and then I can go ahead and print it out. Save it. Then I'm going to run this. I don't need to pass any arguments because I'm not using it. Notice it's not even using our right class. But if I did, I could click on Java Application, New. There's my Smart Sustainable Test. And I go ahead and I run it. And what does it do? It prints out the value of Tom. I instantiate in an object by calling the constructor. I then use the reference variable of that object type, and I wound up calling the instance method. The instance method are methods that don't use the word static. They operate on the object, not on the class. So I call the update student name method of this instance, passing it a string. It in turn update the instance variable name. I then retrieve the value from that object, place it into my string, and then just process the string. This has just been a brief intro into the construction of objects using a zero argument constructor within Java. Thank you.